Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about the infamous story of Annabelle, the demonic doll. Now this is the very doll that has spawned movies and is sort of a cultural icon amongst horror movie fans. So, if you're interested in dark and mysterious stories, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and turn on all notification buttons to stay updated on all of our latest videos. Don't forget to turn on the closed caption function for better viewing experience. Let's get started. In 1970, Donna, a young nurse, was gifted a very lovable looking doll for her 28th birthday. Donna was filled with excitement and brought the doll back home to her apartment, which she shared with another young nurse, Angie. Now, audience of today may have a perception that this doll was horrific looking and wonder who would even buy it in the first place. But in actuality, this doll was very gentle looking and was actually a character from a very popular children's book series in the early 1900s. So of course, when Donna opened the present from her mother, what she saw was a doll that looked so adorable and didn't make any supernatural connections at all. Donna would place the doll on a sofa in the living room. She felt that the doll added a nice pop of color and would essentially be a nice greeting to guests. While both Donna and Angie loved the doll, Angie's boyfriend Lou didn't share the same feeling, and he was the only one who felt that the doll was evil. It wasn't long before Donna and Angie would find the doll seemingly moved and placed in other areas in the living room. Once, Donna would place the doll on the living room sofa before leaving home for work as usual, but when she came home, the doll would be in the bedroom with the door shut. Sometimes, they would even find the doll with its legs crossed and arms folded. They would also on occasion find the doll standing on its feet, leaning against a dining room chair. Not long after, Donna and Angie started finding notes left all throughout their apartment. Scribbled on the note were two words: "Help me." The notes were written on parchment paper, which Donna and Angie didn't even have in their home at the time. It escalated when one day, upon returning home, Donna noticed that 3 drops of blood had mysteriously appeared on the doll's chest and more blood was found on the back of the doll's hand. It was at that time Donna and Angie decided to engage the help of a medium. Now, the medium held a seance and told the women that a spirit was inhabiting the doll. The spirit was supposedly that of a deceased 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. Annabelle was a 7-year-old girl who had played in the fields that existed where Donna and Angie's apartment complex now stood. Apparently, Annabelle's lifeless body had been discovered in the fields. The medium mentioned that the spirit of Annabelle was benevolent and harmless. All Annabelle wanted was to be loved and cared for. The medium also mentioned that Annabelle found Donna and Angie trustworthy and wanted to stay with them. With this new information, Donna and Angie felt relief, but at the same time, they felt a sense of compassion for Annabelle and decided to continue to keep the doll in their home. But things didn't improve from there on. Instead, it took a turn for the worse. One day, while staying over at the apartment, Angie's boyfriend Lou started having a bad dream. A dream where Annabelle was in his bed, climbing up his leg. As he lay frozen, Annabelle was then sliding up his chest to his neck and then slowly closing her hands around his neck, choking him out. Lou woke up terrified, head pounding. It was as though, truly, blood was being cut off from his brain. But things didn't end there. A few days later, while Angie and Lou were hanging out in the apartment, they heard someone moving around in Donna's room. They thought there could be a break-in, and Lou decided to go to Donna's room to ensure that everything was okay. Lou crept over to the door, and sure enough, there was rustling sound coming from inside the room. He opened the door, but found nothing unusual. All he found was the doll lying face down on the floor. As he walked towards the door, he felt suddenly a searing pain on his chest and looked down to find bloody claw marks running across it. 2 days later, the claw marks vanished without a trace. After that incident, Donna and Angie knew they needed help, and they turned to a priest, who in turn called in famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. According to Ed and Lorraine, the trouble truly started when Donna and Angie started believing that the doll deserved their sympathy. The Warrens believed that there was actually a demonic force in search of a human host within the doll and not a benevolent soul. The Warrens stated, "Spirits do not possess inanimate objects like houses or toys, they possess people. an inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case. This spirit manipulated the doll and created the illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host. And it was suggested that that human host would be Donna. Ed and Lorraine believed that there were also signs of demonic possession, including teleportation, where the doll moved on its own, materialization, relating to the parchment paper notes, and the mark of the beast, which happened when Lou was attacked. Ed and Lorraine subsequently ordered an exorcism of the apartment, which was performed by a priest, and then they took the doll out of Donna and Angie's apartment, stuffing it in a bag and readied themselves for their long drive home. Being extra cautious as they were dealing with a demonic doll with evil intent, Ed and Lorraine buckled the doll into the backseat of their car and decided not to take the highway in case the doll had some kind of power to cause an accident to happen to them. They decided to take safer back roads, but even the safer back roads were too risky and almost took Ed and Lorraine's lives. On their way home, the car's brakes either stalled or failed several times, resulting in near disastrous crashes that almost killed Ed and Lorraine. Lorraine claimed that the problems with the brakes disappeared when Ed drenched the doll with holy water. Upon returning home, Ed and Lorraine placed the doll in Ed's study. But they reported that the doll would levitate and still move about the house. Even when placed in the locked office in an outer building, Ed and Lorraine still claimed that she would turn up later inside the house. It seemed like whatever evil spirit that existed in the doll was too strong for Ed and Lorraine. At the end, Ed and Lorraine will build a locked case for Annabelle, and she resides there to this day. This locked case seemed to have neutralized Annabelle, but one may say that she could still be waiting patiently and biding her time to be set free to find her next victim. So anyway guys, that's it for today. Drop a comment down below on what you think of this video. If you have other stories you wish for me to cover, leave a comment and a link for me to look deeper into it. Now don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. I'll see you in our next campfire stories. Thank you for watching.